Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Meri Crouley for Now is the Time. We've got Larry Ballard back. We have an amazing, a couple of days, incredible news stories that are breaking, including Lindsey Graham and everything that's happening with him. Is it a heart attack? Was he taken out? But we've got also talking about exposing the socialist Democrats and what's getting ready to, I believe, happen for the greatest show on earth. So today's program is sponsored by the red light therapy and QE Strong. Let's roll that commercial, please.
The last time Rob was here with his red light therapy, we sold out during the program. The fountain of youth is red light.
It really helps your body in dramatic ways, not only in the skin surface level, but it goes in deep. It's got near infrared as well, so it goes in deep into the body and helps the mitochondrial process work more effectively.
NASA-inspired technology is this red light, and you can get it in all sorts of places. I mean, the Hollywood people use this all the time, right? The fancy folks. Athletes, Hollywood folks. It shuts down joint pain, melts inches off your waistline. Harvard, Stanford, NASA, like I mentioned, recharging your cells, reducing inflammation and pain. My wife's been using it on her hip and upper leg. Pain has reduced, mobility has improved. Even our dog loves it. Does this really help animals too?
We've got these amazing mats that compare with these $8,000 panels that are just super expensive because they work, but these mats are just as effective. And then we combine it with our quantum energy frequencies. With the code today, it's like $597, right? So we sell them typically for $1,200 off. We're going to send you an amazing bottle of Exodus, which has 7 biblical herbs and the molecular hydrogen with.
You only have 40 of these available because production is apparently a little slow. At QEstrong.com, cheap $597 after your $100 Gruber discount.
Yeah, so you get actually a Meri discount, basically $597. Not only do you get the red light therapy mat, which I have and I use every day, but you also get a bottle of the Exodus Strong with the 7 biblical herbs and also some of the pain patches that they throw in there as well. It's a really good deal. Go to QEstrong.com, put in my promo code Meri, MERI, and you'll get a significant discount. And it really does help. And it's a third of the price than many of the other mats. It's a great, I use it all the time. So anyway, Larry, a lot of stuff is coming down right now, including, I just want to bring this up at the beginning of the program. We are doing the 9th Open the Heavens event in Branson, and it's going to be on October 2nd and 3rd. We've got some incredible speakers, including you. And people can see you in person. You came to my last event that was in the Ahern Hotel in Vegas, and you really enjoyed that. What do you think about the Open the Heavens event that you went to?
I think it was fantastic. I mean, if you're a Christian, it was just that, it was opening the heavens. And then you have a variety of speakers. Unlike some shows, you were really covering the things that were important. It was a very, very good show. I was proud to be part of it.
Yeah, we had a lot of, Scott McKay and Louis Arms and Juan O'Savin and Sheila Holm came in via Zoom, but we had Kathy O'Brien. So many people were there, and it was amazing. So this one, though, is going to be in the Heartland. It's the 9th one in 3 years. Open the Heavens, Let God Arise in Branson at the Mansion. Let's put up the flyer. It's going to be at the Mansion Theater. This actually was the former Wayne Newton Theater. If you guys remember him, I don't know if he's still alive, but he's a very great performer and really had this theater. It looks like the White House, and it holds 3,000 people. Clay Clark actually did an event there a few years ago for the Reawaken America tour. And it's an amazing place. We're going to have, not only will Larry be there, but we have Troy Brewer. We've got Joseph Z, Kathy O'Brien, and Donna Rigney. That was actually at 2 of them, my first and second one. She actually goes around and opens portals, as God has told me to do. That's why we call it Open the Heavens. And we've got some new amazing guests that we're going to be coming on the flyer, apostolic prophetic voices. And so I'll let you know. We'll keep adding the names on, but Right now, it's the VIP tickets just went on sale yesterday. If you get your tickets before Labor Day, it's only going to be $176. It's symbolic of 1776, $176. That includes VIP seating up by the front. You're going to also have a luncheon, a buffet banquet luncheon, which, I mean, the last one, was off the chain. How good it was. At the Ahern, we had salmon and steak and all this stuff, but I'm not sure what we're going to have here. But it's a really good buffet. And then we have the meet and greet with the speakers for the VIP, and it's a good deal for only $176. Otherwise, it goes to $196. You get a 10% discount. And so it's really amazing. If you can go to mericrouley.com and you can get your tickets. One lady yesterday just bought 8. So we've already selling tickets, and we tell your family and friends about it. It's going to be an amazing time. We have a great worship team that literally is worshiping before thousands of people in the heartland. So you're going to want to bring your families and come to Branson at the Mansion October 2nd and 3rd. It's Friday evening it starts. And we're going to link up with a hotel nearby and have a group rate on rooms as well. Otherwise, you can guys get an Airbnb or whatever you feel led to do. So I'm excited to have you in Branson, because also, Larry, you live in Branson.
I do.
Yeah. So, and I've been to other events. It's a great, great spot. Okay. So anyway, Larry, we can take that down. Larry, we got a lot of exciting news, including the fact, it's not exciting, but the fact that Lindsey Graham passed away. And of course, Mitch McConnell, everybody's wondering where he is. And then you said there's a lot of other breaking stories. What's going on, Larry?
I think that we're having an instant replay of the capitulation tour. I think the Democrats are being forced to eat themselves alive. In terms of Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, there's some things that are suspicious. They're going to do toxicology to see what happened to Lindsey Graham. Was it a heart attack or was it something else? And there are people saying, well, it looks like maybe Mitch McConnell, maybe that's an AI generated picture. So we'll see. Anyway, basically it's creating openings, and basically the whole thing is leading towards the midterm elections and the 2008 election. So I'm just going to read you some things that have been happening in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, last week. This one's important. The first one, turn your TVs on Thursday night, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. Trump has announced he's going to make a broadcast to the nation. I have a feeling that it's going to relate to the things we're talking about today. Then what else has he done? While we see the Democrats literally destroying themselves, I think that by the time we get to the 2008 election, the Democratic Party is maybe going to be completely MIA. But here's what Trump is doing. He's focusing like a laser the Republicans. So he's going to do something that's never done. We have a convention, right? When we get to the presidential election, he's going to have one for the midterms on September 19th in Dallas. What's he going to do? He's going to basically say to the whole Republican Party, we're going to focus, one voice, United America, make America great. Everybody go out and say the same thing. That's in the opposition to the disarray that's coming from the Democratic Party. And then here are some things that are happening. We've had Fulton County. Remember, Trump said from the beginning, we've got it all. We know the election was stolen. So now they raided Fulton County, and they're supposedly going to make an announcement that John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock were elected through some kind of what's the word I want? Election fraud. So we're going to get that news coming up real soon. And then something else is happening in Minnesota. This is now a couple of weeks old, but remember, people say nobody ever gets arrested, right? Well, the lady who was behind all that money laundering, or at least the one that they basically gave up, she got 41 years. Well, what she's saying, the new part of this is she's saying this was all within AOC's district, and she was doing fundraising events at these facilities. There's no way in the world she didn't know about this. So the finger's getting pointed. It's early yet, but she might yet get drugged into this Minnesota fray over there. And what else is happening is the Supreme Court just gave us an early Christmas present. They voted 9-0. And Julie Green prophesied a long time ago that we would get some 9-0 decisions. And this is going to stack the vote in the midterms in the Republicans' favors because they just said that it is unconstitutional to redistrict based primarily or solely on race. And so all these redistricting cases that are out there are going to be heard based on that criteria. And I don't think that we'll get this number, but it potentially could result in 15 extra seats for the Republicans. So we could come into this by the time we get to the presidential election, having the ability to come out of this with a super majority and be able, anything that's still lingering that we didn't get, we'd have the votes to vote it in. And so basically everything is looking like sunshine and roses, but it's chaos, absolute chaos. What else is going on? The America Save Act, or Save America Act. Donald Trump has gone ballistic. He has said, you guys passed a housing bill. I'm not going to sign it. I'm not going to sign anything in the rest of this legislative session until you give me the Save America Act. And so what he's doing also is trying to get it to where we can get it passed on 50 votes. So he's basically having it redrawn and have budgetary considerations put into it so that it can be basically brought out under a reconciliation. And then if we don't get that, I mean, Donald Trump's got some other things up his sleeve, but basically what I'm seeing is the Democrats are eating themselves alive and the Republicans are focusing, and it couldn't look more positive for us. So let's go down, and what we're going to do today is we're going to expose the socialist Democrats for what they are, and it's egregious. So what I want you to think about is, I tell you these things that are happening, there's no way that they would out themselves in this way unless they had been taken over and were forced to say these things. So I think that the Democrats are basically they're going down. Let's just get into it. First, let's go to Mike.
I just want to really quickly interject. We're in a spiritual battle here, people, and it's really between light and darkness, good and evil. And so that's why even these events we do, it is about opening the heavens over region, because it says that, in the second heaven, that's where the fighting goes. And when Daniel in the Old Testament prayed, remember, Larry, it said the angel Gabriel was immediately heard. It was instantly on the way, but it took 21 days to break through because of the fighting and warring in the heavenlies. So really, it's not even about Democrats and Republicans. It's really about good and evil. And God is exposing it, but we have to continue to pray, obey, and move as we're directed by God. So continue on, Larry.
Well, along that spiritual vein, when I got up this morning, here's what popped into my head. I saw Elijah, and he's sending his servant up the mountain to see if there's a cloud, because he had closed the heavens for 3.5 years. And finally, after the 7 trips, he comes back and says, I see a cloud the size of a man's fist. And Elisha says, run, the rain is coming. That's what I think we see here. We're seeing disclosures. We're seeing cracks in the Democratic armor, and it's just, get ready. It's coming. But let's go to the next slide. I want to tell people about my book real quick, and then we're going to go through this. I just want to encourage you, click on that QR code. This book, God has told me when we were at the most dangerous point in American history, this book would come out because it contains everything you need to know in order to stand up and be part of the army that saves this nation. If you click on that code, you can buy the book, or you can also get a free chapter if you're not ready to purchase it. Let's go on down. Mary's got another show, so we're going to go fairly fast. Here's what Donald Trump is saying. Right here. This is the alarm that's going off. Donald Trump is basically saying the following. He believes that the Democratic Socialists represent a threat bigger than World War I, World War II, or 9/11. So this would be potentially the greatest threat America has ever had. And if you couple that with the fact that we have a debt to GDP of 121%, the only other time we had that was coming out of World War II. So we are in a financial crisis, and we're in a crisis where the Democrats are now going full communist on us. Let's go down to the next slide. And we've just got some words of wisdom here. I want you to look at that picture over on the right. I want you to see something. This is supposed to be an organic protest. They just show up because they believe in this. Well, look at all those expensive banners, and every one of them has an orange hat. I think maybe this was a bought and paid for rally, but here's what you want to know. When you have the people finding out that they can vote for the money from the coffers of the government, it's just a matter of time until you go into absolute debt and the republic is lost. That's where we're at. If I want to go back and really paraphrase it correctly, I think there's a quote from Benjamin Franklin, not this one, another one that I would use. And he says that that the instant that those least willing or least able to work find out that they can get money from the public coffers, at that moment, the republic is lost. And that's exactly where we are. Eventually, you run out of other people's money. That's what you need to understand. So I'm going to make a contrast here between what they're saying, we want to take other people's money, and what Donald Trump is saying he's going to give us instead. And you just decide, audience, which is the best. Taxing the rich will only make things worse, period. Let's go on down to the next slide. And I'm going to go through these. Stop me anytime you want, really quick. None of this would be coming out if they weren't already capitulated, forced to tell us this. So the socialist, Democrat, communist, they want to tax the rich in order to pay for all these things. 32-hour work week, Medicare for all, free college education, housing for all, the $93 trillion new Green Deal, open borders, ban mass deportations, entitlements for all illegals, voting rights for non-citizens. This is nothing but a coup, folks. Reduce military spending, statehood for the DC. That means more Democratic votes, right? Expand the seats in House, limit the power of the Supreme Court. Popular vote for the president, and replace the two-party system. What you're seeing there, completely unravels our three-party system, our Constitution, and it is a political coup. It is a socialist communist takeover that they're proposing. They would never tell us these things if they hadn't already been taken. And this next one is right off. Goes to this next slide. This should scream at you. This was coming off of Fox News just a couple of days ago, and here's what the Democrats have supposedly said. They want to eliminate the U.S. Senate. They want to replace the president and the Supreme Court. They want amnesty for all immigrants, and they want to defund the Department of War. Now, wait a minute. Let's stop. That is egregiously stupid. They would never say that if they hadn't already been flipped and were forced to say that. And the prophets have been saying the time would come when they would be forced to say certain things that would be not in their best interest. This is at these last two slides tell you that all those people out there saying Trump's not doing anything, nothing's happening, it's happening, we're winning. These last two slides show you that we are absolutely winning. Let's go to the next slide. And I want to ask your audience to stop and think about something. You see Mandami there, you see some other radical socialist communist. And I want to ask you, have you ever looked at the squad? Have you ever looked at all the people that are championing the socialist, democratic, communist? Very few of them were born in America. They were born in other countries. They are basically representing Islam. Mandami was sworn on the Quran. He got married recently to a woman who has spouted all kinds of things in opposition to Iran and in favor of in opposition to Israel and in favor of Iran. And when he got married, it was a 3-day ceremony. Now, I want to point out something about this man. He feigned that he was one of the people, one of the poor people. He would go to his events on a subway, and he was living in a rent subsidized apartment, getting $700 a month rent subsidy. But now let's tell you the truth about the man. He was raised in Uganda. He's not an American citizen. He was sworn in on the Quran, not the Bible, and he has said he is against private property. That's absolutely one of the tenets of communism. And when he was married, you know what happened? He was at a compound where the president of Uganda is, and the security force that protected his entourage at the wedding was provided by the president of Uganda. So what's happening within our government now? They're talking about legislation that recognizes that these people are communist and wants to take them out. It's basically, we're proposing that anybody who has dual citizenship is not eligible to be in political politics, because what? You can't serve two masters. And so everything is coming out exposing these people. So just stop and think about it. The preponderance of them are from foreign countries, and most of them has Islamic leanings. Let's go on down and we'll expose.
Yeah, but also, Larry, there's been pictures that I've seen of Mandami when he was young, and Obama was in the picture too. These people are all connected. They've been selected. And just like Obama, wasn't born in, America. And I know people from Africa. What's the country they said he's from? Kenya, that he was born. anyway, I know people that know people from the village that he was raised, and anyway, it's all a sham and a show, and they groomed them to really be their puppets for what they've been groomed to call to do, and that is to take down America.
Yep. So let's go back into what Madami is claiming to do. So, but first we got to set the stage. We've got New York City, kind of the flagship of the financial sector of the United States of America, and they're hoping to spread this to other nations, to other cities and other states. So the governor comes out and says, "Oh, we've got a $12 billion deficit already in New York," and she's begging people to come back. "We're sorry we taxed you out." And then you look at that, and then you can bring in Mondami and what he's proposing, they say, is going to bring in another $10 billion deficit on the $12 billion that's already there. How's he going to pay for all these things that he wants? He wants fast, free bus services, couldn't get the money. He wants state grocery stores, couldn't get the money. He wants to increase property taxes for the wealthy, especially those on second homes that are expensive. And he wants a rent freeze. Couldn't get any of this. None of it. There's no money coming to a New York City that's already $12 billion in debt and looking to add another $10 billion to it. This is all just socialist Democrat propaganda. They focus on one thing: tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. So before we finish this, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to give you a chance. You say, would you rather have what Mondami and the Socialist Democrats are offering, or would you rather have what Donald Trump is offering? But I will wait till we get to the right slide. So let's go on down to the next slide. So I've covered that one. Let's go on down. I got a little ahead of myself. So let's go to the next slide. And here's what you need to see. This is the reality of what's happening in this world. The puppet masters must be exposed and held accountable. These things that you see on here are basically the things that have led to the slavery that we're in. Perpetual wars for profit. What do they lead to? They bankrupt nations and force the central banking system out, the fiat banking system. Then they control the money. And who controls the money controls all the spheres of influence. So they control the elections at that point. They have basically rampant political corruption because they control all the spheres of influence. They open the borders, illegal immigration. So they're basically for open borders totally across all of America, all of the world for that matter. And the fiat currency debt trap plagues us to where we're at a point now that the American people, the country's broke. It's at the highest debt level it's ever been, and people can't afford anything except the absolute necessities. So what Benjamin Franklin said, what happened has happened. We're collapsing in on ourselves financially, and gutting U.S. manufacturing has happened. But Donald Trump was turning it around and intentionally losing trade when we went into NAFTA under Carter and under I can't think of his name. It'll come to me in a second. Anyway, bottom line, we had $660 billion, the peanut farmer, Jimmy Carter. We had $660 billion debt, not even $1 trillion. And now we're approaching $36 to $37 trillion. We have to grow ourselves out of this debt trap. And the only thing that's going to do that is Donald Trump. So look at this blue box over here. The people who control the levels of power, this is a reality check, will never allow you to take their money. They control everything, as seen by that list I just read. So you think they're going to just step back and say, hey, take our money. It's no problem. You can have it. And even if you get some of it, then I want you to think about this. They're going to have a drip down effect where you take a few billion from the rich, maybe if you're lucky, and then you're going to have to disseminate it across 300 million Americans. How much of that do you think is actually going to land in your pocket? How much of it is going to benefit you? Virtually nothing. That's the lie of what they're proposing. Let's go on down to the next slide. Now we get into what Donald Trump's reality check is really all about. He's saying, would you rather have that, the drip, 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 few little dollars are going to come your way from taxing the rich, and eventually you run out of money. And what happens in every nation? The grocery stores have nothing left in them. The people are standing in line and food lines. Poverty takes over everywhere. And basically you have crime everywhere. What Donald Trump has been saying forever is he's saying, I'm going to restore America. I'm going to make America greater than ever. I'm going to go from internal revenue service to external revenue service. And what he's doing is basing it on what happened after the Civil War when we put a tariff on England, and that money fed the United States, and we were able to run this country based based upon other people's money, not by taxing the American citizens of poverty. So here's what Trump is saying: no income tax. You can see it. He's brought Walsh in. He's making a push against the Fed, and he's saying, we're going to get rid of the Fed, period. We're going to get rid of the Fed. But even more, I'm going to tell you what's already happening if you open your eyes and see it. I think people recognize finally that the UN is not a nation, not an organization that's supposed to bring peace to the world. It's supposed to keep us in absolute chaos. Trump is systematically eating that beast alive. When he first came in, basically the first thing he did is says, USA, that's nothing but a money laundering venture. We're out of it. And then he said, we're out of the World Health Organization because of what they did to us. And then he said to NATO, you're on notice. And now he's taking the banks, the central banking system. That means the banks that are associated with the UN are in jeopardy. And NATO's on notice. And so everything that's associated with the UN is basically being nibbled away. And finally, I think the Board of Peace is the mechanism that's supposed to finish them off. I think that basically you come in and you pay $1 billion for membership, and then you pay a fee to use the trade route that they're building, and it's going to eventually replace the UN. So that's what Donald Trump is doing, and the money will flow in from external sources and will go from the internal revenue to the external revenue. So here's the question. You can have what they want. You can tax the rich and you can get the leavings, or you can get rid of the Federal Reserve, the Fed, and you can go to a monetary system that's based on God's economic system on commodities, and you cannot have any federal income tax. So now you get paid, and instead of them taking out 20, 25, 30, 35%, that money goes in your pocket. And then what else is Trump doing? He's making a provision. This one will take a while, but to give us virtually free energy. Everything that you buy, have ever bought, the principal cost of it is energy. So the first thing he did when he came in was he passed the Chevron deal, giving us access to 9,515 patents. So you can have the plan that Trump wants to give you, where you have no federal income tax, and eventually the cost of everything you buy is going to go down because of energy. And if we go back to, think about this, if we go back to a commodity-backed system, the reason your houses went from $200,000 to $400,000 as the mean average cost following COVID was not because the houses are worth more, it's because the dollar's worth less. So if we go back on a gold-backed system, the whole real estate market's going to flip and the houses are going to truly be worth something. So that's what Trump is offering versus the sham that the Democrats are offering. So let's go to the next slide. But let me stop and let you make a comment while I catch a breath. Go ahead.
Well, and even when I was at the summit, the Fraudster Summit in Vegas, Juan O'Sabin put it on. I met some amazing people, but they were, who is the gentleman that was exposing, all the fraud with the mortgages? You've interviewed him before. He was at that event. He was showing about how they were buying up, and we know that they're buying up a lot of these homes like BlackRock and Vanguard, and they're buying up all these homes, and then they're just purchasing them, and so then people don't have housing, and they're doing a lot of these fraudulent loans, and just so much stuff, the corruption that's being exposed. So it's pretty amazing, the corruption that God is exposing with all these different ones that are literally kind of like falling like dominoes. And so it's exciting to know the truth, and the truth will set us free. So I think a lot of the younger people, but interestingly enough, the millennials, Generation Z, are the ones that are really waking up, and that's what I've been noticing.
Because they have no future under communism, and they're beginning to realize it. I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but here's basically what he was exposing. They buy a house. They buy a bunch of houses and say that one of those houses in that portfolio was $500,000. 10 years later, it's at $450 million. They sell that mortgage over and over and over again. Once you get through the preliminary period where you've got the assessors looking at it and you've got the home inspectors and everything, then they just sell it over and over and over. And all that money goes into money laundering to go to steal elections. That's what you're talking about. I'm sorry that I can't remember his name right this second. But let's go on down and we'll get through this as quick as we can. Go to the next slide. And here's where I'm going to basically ask you to ask yourself a question. I'm going to read it. And I've framed it before, but now I'm going to give it to you specifically. Would you rather have no federal income tax, or would you rather try to take money from the rich and depend on them giving you the leavings? I think not. That's if it's distributed under 300 million people, there's nothing left. So here's what we've got. Trump is planning on doing the following: ending the federal debt trap, getting us out from under a commodity-backed economy. I mean, basically under a fiat system, putting us under a commodity-backed economy, fund the government with what? Tariffs from foreign countries, not from American citizens, run the government with a sales tax, just like it was run in the beginning. So that now I'm going to stop here and I'm going to give you another frame of reference to think about. So here's what basically people are saying. We've got to tax the rich because they don't pay hardly anything, where we're paying all these taxes. Well, what Trump is doing is taking those taxes off of the backs of the American people. But let's go back and look at what we were doing when we were founded. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to buy a new car. It's $30,000. And under SARA, supposedly the tax is going to be 15%. So I pay 50% sales tax on that $30,000 car. Now, the rich are out there, and maybe they're buying maybe somebody's buying a $400,000 house and paying tax. So they're buying a $120 million house. They're buying $1 billion jet airplane. They're buying $1 billion yacht. So who's actually under that program, the program that made America great in the first place? They're paying proportionately way more taxes than we are. It may be the same rate, but basically that's all we've got to do. It's all what is in American history. Just go back to our founding principles and we fix the problem. And we don't have to be naive enough to think that this can be fixed by taking money from here. I'll put it in a different way. This problem, this debt problem we have, was caused by taxes, right? By overtaxing people. And so how are you going to fix a problem with more taxes that was created by taxes? You grow the economy out of the tax situation. And that is what Donald Trump is doing. He's got $18 trillion committed to build factories in the United States of America. And that basically will give us the GDP that we need in order to basically grow ourselves out of this debt. So he's keeping his promise to basically make America great, no, to make America greater than ever, and to get back that which was stolen from us, to get back our manufacturing. So let's go to this next slide.
Larry, and I just want to interject that when they first started, when the Pilgrims first came to America, they were giving everybody land, and then they were all kind of dividing everything up. And then they started noticing, Rush Limbaugh actually had a show about this. They started noticing that some people were more industrious than others. So there was some people that were just lazy and they got everything the same. And so they finally said, no, you'll each get the land, and whatever you pretty much, harvest from the land and whatever, that's yours. And so then they started to see that it was free enterprise, that people started to work hard because they realized what they were doing was really making a difference. You'll see some of these people coming over from other countries legally, like immigrants, and then they work hard. And all of a sudden, within just, maybe a few short years, they're doing well. And so it's the land of the free and the home of the brave. So, I mean, it literally, we've opened our doors to many immigrants from around the world, but people that wanted to come and work hard and become part of America, not trying to bring their ideologies here, but they're wanting to blend in and become an American, which we see against, this whole Muslim and the Sharia law and everything they're trying to implement and trying to take over America as well. That's a whole nother subject. But anyway, so really the economic system of free enterprise is way more beneficial to people than any socialism or communism.
It happened in China. Basically, they put the people out into the farms who weren't farmers, and production fell. Then they gave the land to the people to work and have proceeds from it, and production went up. Just go imagine that. So this next slide just simply proves that the system we had worked. In 1876, America, the youngest nation in the world, has announced we're now the wealthiest. We were now number one in manufacturing and in mining, and in what was the third one? Manufacturing, mining, and production. And so those are the three things that make a nation great. We're going to go through these next slides really fast. We've had them up before. Trump is saying the key is to rebuild America's manufacturing, build America, buy America. Let's go to the next slide. And these are all the things. If you want to think about going and voting in the midterms, I want you to think about this. This is what the socialists want. They want on the economy, they want entitlements. National security, they want open borders. National security, they want military. What am I saying here? National security, they want military. That doesn't make sense. Skip that. Crime, they want to defund the police, and they want no bail. Division, they tried every day to try to divide us because they know a nation divided cannot stand. And again, on division, but they want a government funded. I'm going to skip this whole slide because the print's too small and I can't read it. Let's go on down to the next slide. This is what we really, really want to have happen. And go to the next slide. So basically, we have to orchestrate a red wave, and it's happening because the Democrats are being exposed to they're eating themselves alive. If we can just understand that we have to win this election, because there are things they're not going to let us vote in unless we get an absolute majority. So we need people to stand up. We need them to get informed. We need them to come and vote. And I believe with what's happening with the Supreme Court's decisions and with everything else, we're gonna not lose Republican seats in the midterms. We're gonna gain maybe as many as, this is probably overly optimistic, but 10 to 15 seats, and then we'll have the voting power we need to vote in what we want. Let's go down to the next slide. And this is kind of a recap of what we're doing. We're almost done. So basically, here's what's going on. The solution to the debt crisis, a technological revolution led by America, just like what happened back at the turn of the century, based on American economic systems, the American innovation of technology, funded by tariffs, not from billionaires. So basically, this is what worked. This is what made America great. And we shared all of that with the world. Let's go on down. We're beginning to wrap up. So this next slide you've seen, just pass it by. I just want to say, basically, we are going to take back the money, the control of the money. The fiat system is going to collapse. Go to the next slide, if you would. And here it is. This is something, I know I probably should have mentioned this to you. There's a clip that we could put with this, but basically something is happening. This is to show God's hand in this. The Pfizer building. Now we know who Pfizer is, and we know what they did to us. They know how they're associated with COVID. They're adding floors on top of the Pfizer building. And if you look real carefully over to the left, there's a picture of what was the top floor, and it was only architected to support the roof of the structure. And now they're putting multiple levels on top of it. And basically the columns are buckling, and they say this building, or a good portion of it, might fall. So the piece that I was going to want you to play, it's down there, but I didn't give you prep to do it. I'll just paraphrase it. This is coming from Amanda Grace, and it was saying, it was coming out of the Harbinger, and it basically said that we will rebuild better, right? And the sycamores were taken down, and we'll replace them with expensive cedars. And then it goes on to say that now down the road, after we've made that blasphemy to Christ, that we would have an event where bricks would fall from a very significant building. Here it is. This is 9/11 instant replay coming back at them. God is intervening, and he's doing it with a skyscraper that has some very significant demonic implications to it. So basically, God's hand is in this with us, with the American people, with the Republicans, not against the Democrats. So that's it. Let's go to this last slide, and I'm just going to encourage people again to buy this book. I'll turn it over to you to wrap it up.
Wow. Well, we can see that, like in Hollywood, they always, at the end of the second act in a 3-act screenplay, the end of the second act, Disney would always say, bring on the witch, meaning because they had to bring on the trouble to make it an exciting story, because people don't want to watch a movie that doesn't have any drama or action. Mm-hmm. And this is a showdown. Like, why does God wait in the Old Testament until Moses comes to the Red Sea? And the Israelites were all like, why did you bring us out here to kill us? Wasn't there enough graves in Egypt? You know what I mean? They're all like complaining. And all of a sudden God says, what's in your hand? Raise the staff. we're at this time that what's in our hand is we are moving, we're doing these shows, we're doing events, we're taking action, going to school boards. We're all hands on deck. So it's really all of you have to get into the game. And this is exciting because even these showdowns, I believe it's going to be a showdown in Branson. And we are going to see the heartland of America. God's going to turn things around. You're going to be there, Larry. There's going to be a number of other people that will be there, and we'll let you know as we continue to add them on. But right now, it is a spiritual showdown. And you talked about, eating, the Democrats are eating themselves alive. Well, we know with children, some of these demon rats, what they're doing with children. And so these things are going to be exposed in a big way. And remember, there's many types of words out there that they're not even going to be able to walk down the streets. And so people are going to go, what? They did what? And people are going to be like amazed at the amount of evil that they were perpetrating on the culture to get their way with the money and all the different owning the media and the arts and entertainment and all the different mountains trying to control. But now it's our time. So I'm really excited about what we're going to see. And you've been a big factor in this, exposing a lot of these things to the people, Larry, and people will be able to get to meet you in person. So it's going to be an exciting time. So you guys get Larry's book and Liberty Crusade, but then you have the new one. And so they're going to be able to purchase them there as well, too. Correct, Larry? At the Branson event?
I'll have books for sale and I'll autograph them. I want to come back in and say something that you were just talking about. Basically, what's happening is, now I forgot it. I forgot what you just said. Oh, so you said they're not going to be able to walk down the streets, right? The Democrats. Guess what? It's already happening in Iran. Remember, we took out a number of the higher IRGC people with our missiles and drones and so forth, right? But now what's happening? They're being bushwhacked in the streets. They're being killed in front of their homes. That basically the people of Iran, the Kurds and the people of Iran are finding them wherever they can find them and killing them. They want to get out from under this. So here's the thing I'm going to close on. They want us to believe that the people of Iran hate us. No, this whole hatred goes all the way back to 1973 when we created a coup and took out a democratically elected leader, prime minister of Iran. But now that's 73 years ago. The people of Iran don't remember that. So who do they consider to be the enemy? They consider the enemy to be not the United States, not to be Israel. They consider the enemy to be the IRCG, who have suppressed them, who, when they went out and protested in the streets, killed 30 to 40,000 of them. So that is exactly what's happening over there. And when we find out what's been done here, it's going to be just what you said. We're going to see that the same thing that's happening in Iran now is going to happen here. The truth will set us free, period.
Yes, amen. Well, listen, let's put up that flyer one more time, Rena. The Open the Heavens, Let God Arise in Branson. It's going to be an incredible event, but we're going to show my film, Freedom Cry, Sex Trafficking in America. We've got some real freedom fighters, including Larry Ballard, but we've got Donna Rigney, who was at my first Open the Heaven events, opening portals. We've got, Troy Brewer, rescued over 13,000 kids, literally not just rescuing them, literally taking care of them. Joseph Z, a well-known younger prophetic voice that is really releasing some content that is changing the culture. We've got Kathy O'Brien. We've got so many different people that are going to be there and many more to come. But let me tell you, if you want to get your VIP early bird, it's only $176. You can go to MeriCrouley.com and it'll pop up right away and you can register for free or get your VIP. Now, let me tell you this. In closing, remember when they said they weren't even going to be able to walk down the street? Well, let me tell you, it's not just Democrats. It's also rhinos. There's a lot of rhino Republicans. And, Lindsey Graham passing away, some people have been wondering, was it a heart attack? And there's certain weapons they have, people, that literally can simulate a heart attack. But let me tell you, Lindsey Graham went over to Ukraine many times what do you know about Lindsey Graham and Ukraine and John McCain?
Are you asking me that question,
Yeah.
or your audience?
No, you.
Well, basically, McCain was photographed with ISIS personnel on more than one occasion. When he had his funeral, the flag was upside down and wrinkled, and that was the cue telling us he was a traitor, and he was affiliated. The two are affiliated together. Now, this is my opinion. If you want Fox News, you go on the networks, they're telling you how wonderful Lindsey Graham was. But this is my personal opinion. I watched him for years, and he's got a golden tongue. He could come on and he could smooze anybody. But what would happen is he would stand with the president time after time after time after time and support the Republican Party. But then when something really crucial happened, 9 out of 10 times he voted on the wrong side of the issue. So I believe that, truth be known, he was a rhino. He was one of the most effective rhinos in the entire government in Washington, D.C. That's my opinion. There's others who hold him in the highest possible esteem. But I look at the voting records and vote based on the voting record. To me, he basically was a turncoat every time something important came up.
Well, we'll just have to see at his funeral with the flag. If it's wrinkled flag, we'll just have to, that'll be a big thing to watch for. And, in closing, I interviewed an NYPD detective named James Rothstein. He was known as Jimmy Boots because he became a legend. He wore cowboy boots and a trench coat, sounded kind of like a Columbo type guy. The NYPD hired him. He actually told me, Larry, that on a dare, he was from Minnesota, and all these guys were having drinks one night, and they probably had a few too many, and they said, hey, let's all go down and apply for the NYPD to see who could become a cop, just kind of on a dare. So they went down there, they took the test and did whatever, and Jimmy scored really high. So eventually he basically stayed in New York, and the chief of the NYPD made him like a detective, because there was a street in New York City, that was known as the Minnesota Street, because all these gals from Minnesota, where I'm from, all have blonde hair, blue eyes. A lot of them are Scandinavians. I'm Norwegian and German. And then all of a sudden, all these, they would traffic them from Minnesota and other places and bring them to this street, because a lot of New Yorkers are more Italian types and dark haired. So bottom line is, as he started to expose these BP, and then he also made him this undercover pedophile rings. And he said to get to the top level of exposure. And then they said all of a sudden the feds would step in and call national security. That was passed in 1947. They shut it down every single time. He told me 90% of Congress, Senate is compromised. It's not just Democrats. A lot of the Republicans are Democrats too. It's a uniparty. So you guys, we really have to wake up. I interviewed James Rothstein in his home in St. Martin, Minnesota, and he told me some hair curling stories of things that he knows. And so this thing with the children and what's happening with a number of things, it's a big deal. So that's why one of the things that we'll be talking about will be that. And so I have to be careful how I say it, because they'll take you down of even saying the words and things. So listen.
Meri, is Brunson going to be at your next event here in Branson?
Yeah, he always usually shows up. But yeah, he shows up. I mean,
I don't know what he said to you, but I've had conversations with him, and what he told me was that case has already been decided. They're just waiting to release it at the optimal time. So we're now in the last 4 months running into the election. And that's another thing that come out. We can have that released. And it goes to what you said, because those people didn't give us 10 days to determine if that was a legal election. They basically breached their oath of office. And the vast majority of all the people elected in Washington are subject, if that is released, to be removed. So basically that substantiates what you said just a second ago.
Wow. Well, this is amazing. You can take that off the screen, the flyer. So anyway, Larry, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for watching. Now is the time remember, now is the appointed time. If God be for us, who can be against us? We need to continue to pray, obey, and stay the course and not lose heart. Because I hear so many people, Larry, even good friends, and I love these people, but they'll say, when are the arrests going to happen? When is this going to happen? I'm tired. I'm not going to. And it's like, wait a minute. It's really God that's going to deliver us. But he knows the rhinos and the deep state and all the demonic people that are in place. But it says in Psalm 2 that God sits in the heavens and he laughs. I mean, Satan, as you remember, is just a created being. He had been Lucifer one time. So all the ones that we fight against in this, they're in a different dimension. So oftentimes you don't see them. But Larry, in the late 60s, when you were in a crash and you literally had an out-of-body experience, a near-death experience, you actually were told by God about what's happening now, correct?
Yeah. And I followed what he told me all my life. So let's take the Iran war that we're talking about. The first thing that came to my mind was a recollection from that event, and it was in Ezekiel. And basically, God was saying this time would come. The world would be controlled by oil, right? And the time would come when this would become a crisis, and he would put a hook in the mouth of the nation that would cause that crisis. It's happening right now today. So I don't have the slightest doubt that war is going to end, and we're going to basically have peace in the Middle East because Iran has already got that hook in its mouth. The God put it there 2,000 years ago.
Yeah. Well, if they want to find out more, they can also buy your book, and you go into the Liberty Crusade, the new one, and everything else. So listen, Larry, thanks for coming on. I'm excited I'm going to be going to Branson to set up things and next month. So I'm excited to be able to work with the Heartland of America. You guys can fly in. It's going to be drive-in, however you want to get there. Take a plane, train, or automobile. But anyway, it's going to be fun. We're going to have fun. It's going to be a great time. And we're going to be at the mansion in Branson and see a showdown for such a time as this. So God bless you guys. Hope to see you in Branson, or we'll be streaming it as well. But I'd rather see you in person than, excuse me, on the internet. So anyway,
a great vacation place, so you can come and see this conference and have a good time with your family as well. Another reason to come.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. A lot of stuff to do for families. It's a great. There's lakes. There's a lot of things to do, and so it's going to be awesome. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. God bless. Thanks, Larry. God bless, guys.
Bye-bye.